Here it is, Friday. Again. Seems to me we went from March to July, like just like that. Pretty astounding for me, being that it's almost, well, we're 5 months into, sort of being in this different life, so to speak, a little bit locked down, a little bit at home. Certainly those things are laxing and starting to stretch out now, but, literally for nearly half a year, uh, it's been of a different world and making different choices and certainly trying to navigate something that I'm clear no one has the ability to know what's next, really. I mean, things are back to normal, whatever normal is at this point in time, because every time I go into a store, I get introduced to a new kind of normal. I did Costco today, and I was convinced that I had to be there at 7:30 in the morning and line up for hours and stuff like that. And today was actually really easy. We went at lunchtime. We were in and out within an hour. Costco is actually doing, in my opinion, a really phenomenal job of making sure that everything's sanitized and wiped down. They've got stations and people and sanitizer available and signs and people making sure that everybody's 2 meters apart. And I don't know, you know, um, it's such an interesting thing to navigate, this new normal, and so when I'm at home, I don't notice these things, of course, until I go out there into the real world, and I'm like, right, the world's crazy, and here we are taking precautions, and I'm glad we are. Don't get me wrong, please. I just know that it's for mental health wise, it's challenging to stay in a positive outlook without feeling depressed and anxiety ridden because somebody got too close to me or I got too close to them or whatever's happening. And so that is so fascinating and interesting to me to try and reestablish what my boundaries and my thoughts and how to navigate things. Being someone that feels anxiety about so many different things at so many different times, and it's never necessarily the same thing at the same time because of the same thing. Certainly there's patterns in it, but some of it is a surprise, and some of it is unbeknownst to me until it's happening and I'm in it. And so when I'm locked down, and yesterday my boyfriend coming home, and I was so excited to see him all day, and then when he got home, what I presented was irritation, and it was crunchy, and it wasn't what I meant to be doing, but it's how I was feeling underneath, and I wasn't quite able to get to the under part of that. Like, I wasn't able to really get in touch with what was actually going on, so I just had this low grade irritation going on, and then it became a curt answer or a crunchy answer or uh, an immediate response that wasn't in kindness, even though, in all fairness, none of that was his. And so today I was just exploring that piece of it was so interesting. And I called him and said, hey, you know what, I figured out you're my safe space. You're my safest place. And unfortunately, I didn't do a very good job at asking if it was okay for me to, feel these feelings and experience this stuff and talk about it. Instead, it became this piece of, you know, automatic sort of expectation, an expectation that our spouses or our children are readily available for us to kind of let go of our stuff with. And what I know is that when someone asks me permission, if I'm ready, if I'm able, if I'm capable, if I'm willing, certainly always opens the door to me being open and accepting of that. When someone just comes at me, of course, we get our hackles up, particularly if we've had a rough day or whatever. And so it's just a reminder that I'm human, thankfully, that I am a work in progress, as are many of you, I'm sure, and that this isn't about being perfect, but it is about being real with ourselves and being honest, being responsible to, and saying how much we can realize that we're out of line, and when we are, to make sure that we apologize for those things, but do it from a place of actually feeling that apology and the depth that it may have hurt the other person, and understanding that even though we're not perfect, that there is a level of expectation around, not continuing to have it happen over and over and over again, so that we are become mindful of those things. And that's important. And so, today I had my coaching call this morning. It was like an hour and a half of coaching, one coach, two people, which is pretty amazing. And I'm really excited about the things that I'm able to learn there, because it always makes a difference in the way that I'm feeling. And of course, it's always the right information at the right time, and it's the perfect perspective to shift a little something. And today he gave me a number of analogies. Analogies help me because I see in pictures. And when I can see something in a picture, it's indelibly imprinted on my mind, and I can recall it and the picture and the meaning of that at any point in time. So, ultimately, we need to be careful with each other, be careful with ourselves, be kind to each other. And sometimes when there's something going on that we're not aware of and we're unkind, to make sure that we're responsible to those people that we're unkind with, and take responsibility around our thoughts, our actions, and try and make right by that. And so today is Friday, and I hope that you're having a fabulous evening. I hope that you have the rest of your evening is also fabulous, and that you have a great weekend. And so, so much love out there. Thank you so much for coming to see me every day, and for listening to what I have to say. I don't know if it's meaningful to you or what have you, and there's little snippets that you might be able to take out and apply to your own life, but I know that we're not in this alone, and I would imagine that I, like a lot of other people, are learning as we go. So here's to learning as we go, and be kind to each other, and include yourself in that. See you tomorrow.